Well, relationship agreements would include what we used to refer to as cohabitation agreements, domestic partnerships. Premarital agreements would be the ones that I've done the most, and I've probably done more premarital agreements than any lawyer in Oregon. I used to do all of the premarital agreements for this firm, and we're the largest family law firm in Oregon. In fact, for quite a while, we were the second largest firm doing family law in the country, but we've since, I think 7 or 8 years ago, been doing estate planning as well. So I've done hundreds of them. I've spoken on continuing education on premarital agreements in this state, around the country, including in Australia and England and so forth on the subject. And with a lawyer in Oregon who was really terrific, Josh Kadish, we started a new way of doing them called collaborative premarital agreements, where instead of I talk to my client, my client talks to me, I talk to the other lawyer talks to his client, and then you do this ring around the rosy thing, which we decided, look, that's really inefficient. This is really, the party should be driving the bus. They're getting married, for God's sake. So let's get everybody in the same room and do it in a collaborative way. Everybody gets copies of all the emails and drafts and so forth. And that's become very popular, not just in Oregon, but in many other jurisdictions around the world. So I've done a ton of premarital agreements. I've also spoken about them in the sense that, there was a study in, I think it was Southern California, that suggested you're 22% less likely to get divorced if you have a premarital agreement. It might be because people that do premarital agreements tend to be more cautious, sophisticated, but the mental health folks say no. The reason is discussing money and how parties in a relationship control money is the last taboo in our culture. People are happy to talk about sexual practices. Are we going to have kids? How do we deal with in-laws? Where are we going to live? But talking about money is really hard. It's often off the table. And if you think about it for a second, premarital agreement, the discussion about premarital agreement is really, in a way, kind of like premarital counseling. Not that we're mental health professionals, lawyers that do this, but you're really forcing people to confront the issue, and that I tell the clients, I say, look, you guys, every marriage will end. Your marriage is going to end, my marriage is going to end, the other lawyer's marriage is going to end by death or divorce. So it's up to you to decide what you want to happen under those eventualities. And the thing that's tricky is that depending on where it ends, where you die, where you get divorced, different rules apply. The law of Washington is very different from Oregon, very different from California, very different from Texas, et cetera. Extremely different from, for example, Great Britain. So if you want to take control, you need to have an agreement that essentially says, look, we don't want the law of wherever we die or get divorced to apply. These are the rules. This is the program that we want to apply. And people typically think, I'd sort of like to have that control over my life.